Very good morning, friends. Welcome back once again to DevOps Titan. And today we are discussing question number 6. It's the sixth question in the series of 30 plus CKA practice exam questions. So, if you have not subscribed and have watched other videos, please subscribe and also please click on bell icon so that you get notified whenever the next video is released. And this is a very important topic, and from CKA exam question perspective, and you may expect a question based on very similar topic. So let's get started. So the question is, add sidecar container to read logs from the main container. Okay, so basically you are asked here to create a pod, okay, with multiple containers. The pod image and other criterias are defined here, that um, this is the first container. The name of the container should be main. The image name is busybox now, and the busybox version is given. They have defined the argument which you need to pass inside that container. Basically it's a command, okay. um, then there is a volume mount. You need to mount this volume inside your container, and the volume mount name is main volume, okay. uh, it can be anything, so it may depends upon the question, what question has asked to create to you. Second container, then there is a similar information available for second container. And check the sidecar containers log and store its output under temp output.txt. Okay, so this is a very standard question, and if you are getting a sidecar container related question in your exam, most probably 99% this will meet the criteria and you will be able to solve. So practice this question couple of times if you are new to sidecar container, and hopefully you will be able to solve this question. If you get this question on sidecar, the weightage will be around 5 to 7%, so it really carries a good amount of score in exam. And okay, so let's start checking the solution and we'll discuss more there. So let's click on check now. So before we deep dive, I would like to give a small information for all those visitors who are not aware of what's uh, sidecar container, because this is also one of the important topic if you are preparing for your interview. So typically a pod in Kubernetes contains one container, but it is possible visiting this blog. They have not written the exam, and but they found this was helpful for them to build the concept. There is a video on the blog to create a lab environment. If you are using Windows, if you are using Mac, then click here. Mistakes not to repeat in exam, or not to mistakes to avoid is mentioned over here. I will create a separate video on this, but meanwhile you try to go through this. There is a detailed description on what not to do and what to do during this. Is a extra information tips for the exam, so please go on to my blog and click on CK practice question 6, okay, and you can see that. Okay, so now let's jump on to the solution. So step first, take reference from the Kubernetes documentation and create a YAML file as per the given question. Okay, so here I said basically you can take a reference of any YAML file, a pod definition file from Kubernetes documentation page. So you might take an Nginx pod, you can find very easily that YAML file, and then modify that YAML file. Replace the name as per the name given in the question. So in this question it is multi-container pod. Replace that name and have it multi-container pod name. Then the container name, if it is a main, and the image name, update it as per the given question in the exam. and whatever is given under args, just copy paste the entire thing. You need not to apply additional um, brain over there. So just copy paste the args which is given in the question, and volume mount is also defined here, and volume mount name, that is main volume, and the mount path is given in the question, define it here. You will get multiple questions where you might have to use this volume mounts, so be very thorough and have practice, and you should be able to write this piece of code like volume mount. You should be knowing how to use it, so practice it enough so that these things are on your fingertips. Now here comes the sidecar. So even remember I was giving an example that you might get a question to add a sidecar container inside a pod. So you might, if you are getting that question, then open that sidecar kubectl edit pod -n, whichever namespace it is. Open that YAML file, and then add additional sidecar container in that, save it, and it should be up and running. But I will say don't do that. uh, Rather than try to export the YAML file by dry run command, which you know, get the YAML file of that existing pod which is up and running, and then add the sidecar container information. Okay, whatever the sidecar container information given in the question, add it. Delete the existing pod, because once if the pod is up and running, editing that pod, live pod, may not work. So you need to delete the pod, and using the YAML file with the updated YAML file, just recreate the pod, and you should be good. Okay, so in this question you are asked to create a multi container pod. So this pod is not already up and running, so you will create a YAML file like this. In exam, if the pod is you need to add, then already this piece of information will already be there. Okay, you need not to worry in exam. And so in exam they will not give you, it is very highly unlikely, 99% I'm sure, that then they will not ask you to create a multi container pod. They will just want to test your skill whether you know how to add a sidecar container or not. So 99% I'm sure they will have a pod up and running, and when you dry run and export that pod YAML file, you will get this much. Okay, so base will already be ready for you. You will get all these configurations. Okay, it will already be there in that YAML file which you will export. All you need to do is add this piece of information, which is very simple: image, name, image, and argument. If so, this is that argument which will read the log file. Okay, and so from where it is reading, inside var log. Var log, in this var log there will be a CK exam log file, so it is trying to read that information. And here you see var log is I'm mounting it. So this sidecar container don't know what is var log, and inside this CK exam.log is coming actually from the main container. So main container is trying to generate, it's creating this log file, okay, inside var log. And this var log, this path is mounted here. So the main volume, this will be some temporary volume which we'll see. I would have added a piece of code for this. So this mounted volume which is on the host mount path, that at the host mount path there will be this file system is mounted. So whatever is there inside this file system will be available on host node host, that host path. So if it is like node 1, this pod is running on node 1, then on node 1 host, under some temporary directory, this file system, whatever is available under this file system, will be available on localhost node 1. Okay, for example I'm saying. So here when we are adding a sidecar container and we are mounting the same mount path, you see main volume here. So again, if we are mounting it the same volume path, then whatever is available inside this volume path will also be available under this volume path. So this sidecar container, what it is trying, it is trying to read this file which is generated here. Okay, it is just trying to read this file. So in real world, what will happen, you will have a question, you will have a project, and where the application team will come up with their pod, and they want that all their log output should be available on Splunk or some other portal. Then you will have a log aggregator for that, where you export the log, you take the log from the main container and push it to the Splunk. So there are many use cases, similar use cases for sidecar. It is very important, and you will use it very frequently if you're working as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so here I was talking about the piece of information. So here it is volumes, and here we have defined the main volume, and the same main volume is used at both the places. And what this volume defines, it says that create a temporary directory at the runtime. When you execute this pod, create a temporary directory on the host path and mount that temporary directory inside both the containers. So if both containers are using the same mount name, like, then same local directory which is on the node, on your cluster 1, on your node 1, worker node 1, same mount directory will be mounted inside both the container, so that if one pod creates a file in that file system, on that mounted file system, other container will have access to that file. Okay, so this is the a simple YAML file which you need to create this multi-container pod. Once again, in exam, if you are asked to add sidecar container, then you just need to add this piece of information. Okay, so in exam it will be just hardly couple of minutes, so don't get confused, and create the pod once you have YAML file up and ready. Make sure the pods is up and running, and this both the container inside the pod is up. Okay, once it is up, then try to check the logs of what sidecar container is printing. So you see here the sidecar container, it has an argument, it has it inside this sidecar container, it all the time trying to read. So tail hyphen n plus an f, so life, and it is trying to tail this log. So if you try to just see the log of this multi-container pod, and inside this pod, and just specifically I'm checking for sidecar container, so it is printing this information. Okay, so this is actually nothing but whatever here we are generating in the main container, whatever the output it is generating, so it is actually checking the date and some time it is generating here. Okay, so we are getting this output. So this is what is required as per the question. The question, if you see once again, and you need to, whatever you are getting the output here, you need to write that output in this file. So you are getting this output, right? You need to copy this, and whatever is the output, you need to copy that in that file, and that's it. That's the that will complete your question. So basically in this question you are tested. Once again, I'm saying, I already repeated couple of times, you should know how to add sidecar, and I'm sure by this time you already know it. Okay, so if you have liked this video, please click on like, give a thumbs up, subscribe it, and do not forget to click on bell icon so that you get notified whenever the next video is released. Thank you.